Today, we have the honor of being joined by Giulia, who is community manager at Platform Engineering.
A community of around 10,000 people at the moment. I live in Berlin. I'm Italian, though. Platform engineering is basically development after DevOps. So it comes from the cloud native type of technology, and it refers to engineers that work on platform that help developers basically build up and upload application to the cloud.
How did you land in community management?
I did a little bit of social media, and I was like, yeah, this is cool, but this is not really my thing. Moved to Berlin, became a team lead. I was lucky, I had a really nice manager that let me experiment with my role a lot. It happened that I became a community manager in that role. I would say community management found me somehow.
What do you think your biggest challenge will be at Platform Engineering in terms of your role and community management?
My goal is to make this community as self-sustaining as possible, because it's huge. 10K, and we're growing really fast. You can't engage people on that dimension already. So what I'm really doing, I'm scaffolding the community.
Why don't you say hello, Giulia, and tell us a little bit about yourself? Hello and welcome to the Digital Community Managers podcast, where we chat with community managers, champions, and founders about their experience leading and supporting digital communities. My name's Pete Heslop, and I lead the team here at Steadfast Collective, and we exist to craft digital applications that bring people together online. We've created the Digital Community Podcast to be a bite-sized look into what it takes to start, grow, and scale digital communities. And today we have the honor of being joined by Giulia, who is community manager at Platform Engineering. Why don't you say hello, Giulia, and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So hi, hello everyone. I'm Giulia. As Pete said, I'm a community manager at Platform Engineering, a community of around 10,000 people at the moment. We hope to grow around another 5,000 or 6,000 in the next 3-4 months because we're preparing a big conference at the moment. And yeah, I live in Berlin. I'm Italian though, but I've been living here since 7 years already, and really enjoy meeting new community manager in the city, but also connecting with the startup scene. Berlin is a really vibrant city on that. So yeah, thank you for having me, Pete.
Oh, thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about Platform Engineering, and then we'll jump into a little bit about how you became a community manager in the first place. But let's start with Platform Engineering. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I didn't even know what those words meant when I first joined, actually. I've been working a lot with the developers in the past. I've been moving industries, but basically worked in the tech industry since a while. And yeah, platform engineering is basically, I would say, development after DevOps. So it comes from the cloud native type of technology, and it refers to engineers that work on platform that help developers basically build up and upload application to the cloud and be actually ready at any time. So I've been this community that I'm working with at the moment actually is basically mainly platform engineers but also DevOps engineers and also tech lead and people working in a cloud native space. So really interesting people, really cool technology.
Nice. So you mentioned that you're the CM and currently about 10,000 people. Are you the only community manager, or is there a team? How does that work? How's moderation and stuff happening?
So I'm the only community manager at the moment. I would say the marketing team I'm part of, it's around 13, 14 people right now. But yeah, we are basically dedicated to a lot of different things. So we have a pretty big editorial team because we have a lot of articles that go out, a lot of content to go out. So would say community, we have 10K, but I think one community manager is enough because um, a little bit because of the philosophy around the community. I mean, right now it's a really self-service community. People just have a lot of going on. So a lot of initiatives are actually coming from the community. We have a weekly webinars, so we have a lot of different initiatives. But I would say I'm able to do everything by myself. Obviously, I have a lot of help by ops in terms of having programs running in the background, workflows, integration that help me doing the day-to-day
Mm.
obviously, that I'm not doing like manually everything.
Yeah.
So I mainly do strategy and initiatives. So
Nice.
that's quite a good setup, I would say.
And what platform are you using as kind of the core for the majority of things?
Absolutely. I inherited Slack. That
Hmm.
it's not my favorite platform, if I have to be honest, just because I think it's really comfortable in terms of like if you have a professional community, it's
Mm.
really comfortable. People are already on Slack,
Yeah.
so it's easy, right? They connect and they are there. I don't like it too much because well, it's really expensive on one side, and on the
Hmm.
other side, lot of limitation. But it works well with our
Yeah.
community, I would say, and we it retains a lot of like community members just because actually they are in the same space they have when they work, right? So it's really easy for them to consult.
Nice. And before you at platform engineering, how did you get into being a community manager? It's not one of those things people grow up thinking about, especially, as it feels like a new role. I mean, it's been around for a while, but in this kind of current instance. So, how did you land in community management?
So I would say, like, I really agree with you on that. I also gave a little bit of a speech in my old university about that because, well, I studied communication
Mm.
as a bachelor, and I also went to communication digital media as a master, right? And when I studied, there was no idea that this could have been like actually a job opportunity that I could have after finishing university.
Mm.
So when I came up with it, I was like, let's try and see what's out there. So I did a little bit of social media, I did a little bit of PR for festival, and I was like, yeah, like this is cool, but this is not really my thing. Moved to Berlin, had the opportunity to work in a support role. And like became a team lead and had the opportunity also to spin up some initiatives and processes in my first role. I was lucky. I had like a really nice manager that let me like basically experiment with my role a lot. That I think it's really important, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of like fit in, and that happened. It happened that I became a community manager in that role, and then I moved on, like different industries and also different roles, a little bit because of the pandemic. Also jumped, one place to the other. But the community managers like stuck with me. I really like it. I think it's a fit for my personality. So I think it's. I would say community management found me somehow
Nice. No,
instead
I
of the
like that.
opposite.
That's really good. Okay, so we're gonna jump into some questions and try and glean as much useful information as we can from you, all of your insights and experience. So you mentioned that at platform engineering, you're looking to grow. There's obviously numbers involved in that. Um, what would what's your number one tip for growth? Like in terms of growing um, size of community, in terms of trying to progress that forward. Kind of, what's your go-to strategy?
Yeah, like one of our like main objective obviously is grow. We also know like we're working in a really niche environment, so
Mm.
it's not like a eternal growth. But we know that for a bit we can still like get bigger than right now. I would say my number one tip is always know who you're working with well. Like
Mm.
community has to be like the first question you have to ask yourself is what is this community for? Why I'm building a community? And
Mm.
that is the first question, and that should lead everything you do in growth, in engagement, in everything. So finding out, for example, in my community that this is a community of practice, what they're interested into, really helps me like facilitate into like create a strategy actually that makes sense for like growth. So I go out there, I know where they are, I know what they talk about, I benchmark my situation with other communities situation, I see what other people are doing in their communities, and then I come back and I'm like, okay, my community is this community, they need this, so
Mm.
what I can do to help this like happen. And also listen, like this morning I sent out a survey. It's our like first survey actually,
Mm.
because our community is quite young. It's like 1 year old, so it's super young. So we sent out our first survey this morning. So listening of what people want and what people need, touch base every 6 months really help out because that then puts up with like the whole cycle of what I can do to attract more people, what I can do to let people talk about me. I don't like being out there with marketing. I like when people try and be like, oh, you know, this community, I've been part of this. I really like it. Do you want to join?
Mm.
So I want that mainly. I want people to go out and talk about it because it's so fun, it's so good that other people want to come in.
I like it. I like the you have to know and remember who your audience is. I at my desk, literally next door, I printed out who. So we run a community called Summit, who is aimed at unexpected entrepreneurs, which is people who kind of fell into running a business rather than decided to run a business. And I literally have who they are, like I said, where we'll find them and what they want from us. Because when you're planning out a marketing strategy or an event or whatever it is, you just have to keep reminding yourself, like, what? It's not for me. It's not for this person. It's for that those people. And having it literally printed in black and white, I find just really helps me. Just having it there.
Absolutely. And mainly, like, you created a community because you know that those people need a community. If you
Mhm.
forget what they're here for, or if if you never check if they still need it, or if it's the things
Yeah.
that they need, this will never work, right? You will never grow, but you will never get engagement. You will never get anything out of it. So I think that is really important.
Nice. I like that. And obviously growth is just one part of the puzzle. You to sustain growth, but also to be a healthy community. You mentioned that you're quite fortunate at Platform Engineering that it has turned into this flywheel already where people are answering each other's questions and you're not having to be the conduit for every conversation, which is always pretty stressful at the beginning when that is the case. But what's your like go-to strategy for engagement and ensuring people are staying engaged, staying involved in the community, and kind of not fading away?
Yeah, that is like a really good question. Also, because I think like working with developers, engagement is always really hard.
Mm,
Like it's a well known topic in the developer community managers space, in which oh, if you work with developers, it's really hard to get engagement out of it. Not just because it's a special breed of people, right? It's just because they're really busy. And you should find really a lot of value in what you put out for them to come back and
mm,
be like, oh, I want to engage with them with this. I want to be active in this community, right? So that's always like a lot of work to do so. I would say like my keyword is always balance. What I found out is that pushing engagement never works. Like if I go out and I'm like, okay, on Tuesday we do this. For example, there are a lot of initiatives that are really like, playful and are really nice, but I think they work only in specific environments, right?
mm,
Um, so like pushing, it's really counterproductive in a space like mine, I would say. So what I usually do, I involve the most active community members. I go out to them, I build a special relationship with them. That's mainly like I basically reward these really active community members with a really high touch. So we talk to each other every day, every week, I listen to them, I know what they want to do, and with them, I kind of use them to engage with other people. So to create smaller groups in which people feel more comfortable in being engaged. And
nice.
I also saw that a lot of developers, especially like working remotely and not working in the office anymore, they really appreciate doing meetups nowadays. So that's really another thing that actually increased the engagement in my community, doing local meetups, not virtual ones.
Mm,
Um, I know for some communities it's hard because you need a little bit of budget, but I also see that people are, even if you have like just a little bit, people are more prone to collaborate and also help out with their resources. So these two things kind of worked in my space. I don't think they are like working for everyone. Maybe
yeah.
there are some other formula right out there, but I think it could be a solution, especially with developers.
Yeah, that's good. And in terms of working out who your most engaged members are, is that just something you're doing organically, or are you using a tool for that? Do you literally are you using kind of a layer on top of Slack to work out who your most engaged members are, kind of who the members who are at risk of? kind of maybe leaving or something? Are you using anything like that or not?
I have like I would say I have a mix of both. I have an organic approach in which just like I'm really really present in the community. I'm lurking every day, and I'm just like communicating with people every day. So that kind of comes up naturally. But on top of that, I use Common Room that I
Yep.
find that for my community really works well. Especially like like workflows that we have not like done. We are on the free Slack plan, so
Mhm.
we don't have workflows integrated in Slack. So using Common Room that really helps, but also it helps like keeping track of like engagement rate.
Yeah.
So how many people are actually engaged, and like growth, and also it's really really helpful in terms of topics, what people
Mm.
are talking about. So you can basically track the keywords that are interesting for you, and that can also like help out your active members, the one that you're engaging the most with, to drag the conversation or just like bring up articles they're reading and things like that. So it's really nice. Common Room, I really think it's a great tool. At least for us, it works really well.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially for keeping track of that. Also, the amount of time that you may need to spend reporting to a manager or to the rest of the team, Common Room just kind of handles all of that. So you haven't got to spend so much time worrying about reporting. You can just crack on with being, a community manager, not community manager reporter,
Exactly,
which your job can
exactly.
quickly become if people are wanting lots of stats left, right, and center. Um, nice, that's really great. Was Slack in place before you started?
Yeah, it was already put in place. I come from the open source world.
Hmm.
Like my first big role in community management was at Mozilla. So we were using a lot of like open source
Mm.
tools, Matrix, that is like basically a Slack. It's like Slack, but it's open source. So I coming from there, I was like, Slack, but then
Yeah.
I kind of
People are using it, aren't they? So if it's there, it's on their desktop already. So it's good. It's a good one to go with.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so looking ahead to the next 12 months, what do you think your biggest challenge will be at platform engineering in terms of your role and community management?
I would say like my goal is to make this community as self-sustaining as possible.
Mm,
Like I want this community because it's huge. Like I've already thinking like 10K, and like we're growing really fast, right? It's huge, and you can't engage people on that dimension already. Like it becomes a little bit dispersive, and people are just like losing interest if they don't find like content that they're really interested
mm,
in. So what I'm really doing, also with the help of Common Room, actually, I'm scaffolding the community. So I'm trying to put in place ways in which I can be really peculiar on who I want to involve in certain like activities, in certain initiative, so that everyone has their space and also has the opportunity to connect with the content they prefer or to connect
mm,
with the people they prefer right off the bat. So it's not like it doesn't become like a situation in which it's dispersive. And this is a challenge at the moment because it's a big job, while on the side you have like daily tasks, you have things coming up, you have to keep people there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge for me. And as per my role, I really hope to make this grow in a sense. I would love, obviously, at some point to have a report, like to have someone
mm,
that could help me, especially with the day to day, because it can become a little bit like a lot for me.
mm.
Not in numbers, but more because I want to be like when I respond to people, I want to be there fully. Right now, my attention is divided
Yeah.
between like a lot of people, so that could be a problem. But yeah, I see like these two main challenges. But for the rest, I think our road ahead is pretty exciting.
That is exciting. No, it's really exciting, and it's there's big growth in 12-month period, and it's only going to go up. So, and then that leads nicely on to in the next 12 months. Like, what are you most excited about? What have you got on the roadmap, which maybe you know we haven't discussed so far? You mentioned meetups. That's a really exciting thing. But is there anything you wanted to chat over there?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, well, in June we have our big event that is like Platform Con. It's
Mm,
called. It's our second edition of our conference.
mm,
It's everything about platform engineering, obviously, and it's also like a really nice format for an event. We have all recordings async of talks. They're all like flash talks. It's 15 minutes each
mm.
presenter, and we're gonna have more than 100 talking.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a lot. We're gonna have people doing AMAs on Slack while their talks is recorded.
Mm,
So we decided to keep this format as a virtual format, also because we want to give the opportunity to everyone.
mm,
The conference is free. We have a global community, and well, with the market right now and working with developers and what is happening in the last 4 months with all these layoffs,
yeah.
even before actually the last 4 months, we really, really consider that this is the best way to have
Yeah.
everyone participate. You know.
Nice. And you mentioned that your community is global, and obviously it's growing rapidly. Currently, you're the only CM. How do you switch off? Like, come 5, 6 p.m., how do you put your phone down and go, actually, I'm not going to reply to that. That can wait till the morning. How are you doing that?
Well, I not don't know if I'm the best person to answer this
Okay.
question because I never do that,
Okay.
honestly. I simply like some days I'm like done. So I just don't do it and I reply the next day. Some days I think like I just go on. Some weekends even I unfortunately I made the choice of having Slack on my phone and that is quite a bad choice. But I would say like people are really respectful
Okay.
um, and a lot of them like they know me and a lot of them know that I'm based in Berlin,
Mm,
so especially people in Asia and in the US are really respectful with my time, so even if they contact me after the time they always like, no, but you don't have to respond right now, please
yeah.
feel free to respond whenever, and this is like the basic rule, right? If I can I do,
Yeah.
if not I don't.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. When I'm Yeah, Slack on the phone's a tricky one. Slack
Yeah.
on the phone I can handle. Email on my phone I can't do. I don't trust myself, so I have to delete email off my phone unless I'm like in London for the day or out and about. But if I'm in the office, no email. Otherwise, I wake up and it's the first thing I check, and that's
Yeah,
not
I have a trick with the email. I
okay.
basically did with like I have it in my phone, but it only works like it downloads the email only when I get it onto the charger cable. So when it gets attached to charging, it downloads
Oh,
all the email together. But
wow.
if not, I don't receive them. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a small trick, but at least I have a
Right.
choice, right?
That's the sort of tricks we're here for, Julia. That's the sort of tricks we're here for. Um, Nice. Well, thank you for telling us so much about what you're doing at Platform Engineering. If people want to kind of follow what you're doing, get involved, or ask you any questions, what's the best way of people reaching out to you?
I would say the best way is my LinkedIn profile. You can
Mhm.
find me at Giulia Guizzardi on LinkedIn. Yeah, I usually like share whatever meetups is going on, whatever thing is coming up. I would just add a little bit of a little detail if you can let me.
Yeah.
I am really like talking a lot about mental health and really big advocate for that. I am also certificate as a mental health first aider, so
Mm.
there would be a lot of content between community and also mental health stigma and how to fight them. And so yeah, that's it.
No, it's good. It's really good. I think as the more and more I talk to community managers, the more I learn that they are often very like competent generalists, and in being so they often get given so much work because they can just get on with it and just do it, because as a community manager you're marketing your social media, your people, you're dealing with this emergency but trying to think about this large strategy, and there's so much going on, um and quite easily, they are often very competent people who can handle lots of different things, and inevitably that leads to burnout because it is so fast paced that you almost need to be quite strict with yourself in how you manage your time and your energy. Because, like you said, some days you're just done and you just don't want to do anymore. You want to go watch TV or go for a walk or whatever you want to do. And some days you feel like you can just go and go and go. And being awareful of your energy is super important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, like, I would say, like, the whole category, we switch, well, willingly or not, we switch a lot of industries. So we need to be really fast learner.
Mm,
Like, we need to be super fast in picking up what the community is talking about, which
yeah,
are the keywords that are important from the community. I always say that my first 3 months in every job I ever did was about talking about things that I don't know anything about, and try to think like I'm really good at it,
yeah,
right? Because it's all about confidence, but it's also about being really fast and learning new
yeah.
stuff, even though you don't have like the background for it, right?
Yeah. That's so true. So true. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, Julia. I really do appreciate it, taking the time, sharing your insights with our podcast.
Thank you for
And
inviting me.
no, you are so welcome. And we'll be back next time with another community manager, champion, or leader sharing their insights on what it's like to do this in real life and give us their tips. So we'll see you next time. Cheers.